In the B2B world of 2025, buyers are more digitally driven and selective than ever before. Gartner predicts 80% of B2B sales interactions will occur via digital channels by 2025. 80%. This means your online presence and outreach strategy can make or break your lead generation. And founder-led growth strategy, where the founder actively drives marketing and sales, in the past 2 years brought us nearly 2,000 B2B leads for us and our clients. Why? Well, because people trust and engage with people, especially founders, more than some faceless brands. And in fact, 82% of consumers are more likely to trust a company whose senior executives are active on social media, and 77% are more likely to buy from a company if the CEO uses social media, according to entrepreneur.com. So by being the face of your business and combining personal branding with direct outreach, you build authenticity and credibility that traditional marketing often can't match. So, what is founder-led growth approach? Founder-led growth essentially is the perfect blend of marketing and sales. And as a founder, you leverage thought leadership content, which is marketing, to attract and warm up your audience. Plus, you do proactive outreach, which is sales, to convert that interest into leads. And this approach focuses on building trust and demand generation for your personal brand while you consistently reach out to prospects. Essentially, it's a long-term strategy centered around authenticity and relationships. And in short, you as the founder, you become like a chief marketer and a salesperson where you use your voice and network to drive growth. So now let's dive into how to execute this effectively, especially using LinkedIn as our playing field and exploring modern tactics that are working right now for B2B lead generation. For those who might not know, cold sales outreach is the process of proactively reaching out to potential clients who have not previously expressed interest in a product or service, and basically they don't know you exist. That's why we call them cold contacts. And the goal of cold sales outreach is to get awareness about your company, generate new leads, and convert them into customers. First, let's set the stage with cold sales outreach stats. Reaching out to prospects who don't know you yet, it's really challenging. But by understanding the numbers, this will help you set the realistic expectations for you, and you will better understand why persistence and smart strategy are really crucial. Various studies show that at any given time, only about 3% of your target market is actively looking to buy. Another 40% might be almost ready to start looking, but the majority, they are simply not in the buying mode right now. This means most prospects won't bite on a cold pitch immediately, and you should really understand that that's normal because maybe it's not the right time for them. Look at this stat. 80% of sales require 6 to 12 follow-ups to close, and the vast majority of deals happen only after a sustained series of contacts, which may be calls, emails, messages, etc. Not on the very first try, as many people when they first start doing sales expect. And as you can see, 44% of salespeople give up after just one follow-up attempt. All salespeople quit after they get first no or they don't get a response, which essentially means they are leaving so many opportunities on the table. And only a small elite, around 8% of salespeople, persist to 5 or more follow-ups, which is exactly where most sales are won. And no wonder, because follow-up is a huge competitive advantage that you can have over your competitors. And because as you can see, almost everyone gives up after just getting first no or no response. That's your advantage. For us, cold outreach is a long-term game where consistency pays off. You can't assume one message will convert a cold prospect. And the founder-led growth philosophy really understands this and ensures you nurture prospects over time with value and persistence. And as a founder, you have to have the passion and domain of expertise to stay the course and gradually earn trust. But persistence alone isn't enough in 2025. How do you conduct your outreach also matters a lot. And doing just generic sales pitch won't cut it in 2025. Because modern buyers are really savvy and allergic to spam. And this is why Founder-led outreach pairs so well with marketing tactics by providing valuable content and building relationship in parallel with your direct outreach. You warm up those cold leads much faster, and in the next sections we'll cover the key components that make founder-led growth such an effective approach on LinkedIn, from content strategy to profile optimization to smart automation. And remember, only a small fraction of prospects need your solution today, but by engaging the rest with helpful content and follow-ups, you'll be first in mind when they are ready. And founder-led growth strategy would allow you to capture that future demand. Now, to make founder-led growth work for B2B lead generation, especially on LinkedIn, you need to excel in several areas simultaneously. It's the combination of these tactics executed by you, the founder, that creates a compounding effect. And here are the 5 core pillars. First is, you have to post valuable content that builds trust. Second, you have to do online networking with your ideal customers. Third, you have to optimize your LinkedIn profile for impact. Fourth, you have to leverage automated LinkedIn outreach, of course with personalization. And fifth, you have to craft that irresistible offer that will convert. So now let's break down each pillar on deep dives into why they matter and how to improve each with modern tactics. In 2025, content is still the king, especially personal, insightful content that showcases your expertise. Regularly posting valuable content on LinkedIn is arguably the best way to earn trust at scale as a founder. And why is this so important? Is because people trust people, not some faceless logos, and they engage with those who or either educate them or inspire them. By sharing your knowledge and experience, you become a familiar and credible figure to your target audience, so when your outreach message lands in their inbox, you are not a stranger, but as someone they recognize and respect. Some highly effective content types for LinkedIn today may include short-form expert videos, that will be like quick tips, webinar snippets, or maybe podcast clips featuring you or your team. These put a face to your expertise and are very engaging. And according to Vidico, LinkedIn users are 20 times more likely to share a video than any other type of post. And video posts can drive 5 times higher interaction rates than text posts only. Seeing and hearing you talk passionately about the problem that you can solve for them builds credibility very fast, and it's really the next best thing to meeting in person someone. And we have developed our own system on how to get these clips from founders we are working with. As you know, most founders don't really like to create any type of content. So what we do, we came up with this concept where we basically invite them on a podcast, ask them a bunch of questions and get them to share their expertise, all that while recording the whole conversation. They love it mostly because it feels very natural. They even forget they were being recorded. And for us, this is great because we are getting these short snippets out of that interview. And based on that whole conversation, we can create carousel posts. And for example, carousels posts lets you deliver how-to guides, some frameworks or case studies in a swipeable visual format, when you swipe those pictures on LinkedIn. And carousels often get high engagement by providing what are called bite-sized value. And in fact, some reports even show that carousel posts can drive even higher average engagement than single image or videos in the LinkedIn field, simply because it's easier to consume. What's also working very well on LinkedIn are long-form texts or short articles, where you create some thoughtful text-only posts where you share either a quick lesson you learned, some observation that you might have on the industry, or some personal stories that can humanize you. We as people would relate to something that's very human-like. That's why we encourage our clients to share their personal life. I know that's hard, but really that can help resonate with so many of your prospects as they would relate to you. What we like to create with our clients is the mix of personal journey insights, sharing not just the wins, but failures and learnings. And this vulnerability makes you more human and relatable, which actually brings the biggest engagement on LinkedIn. Just think about it. When you scroll LinkedIn, you will see that the biggest engagement are on the posts that are personal posts. So the key is that your content should focus on specific problems and topics your audience cares about. You should not just be promoting your product, but you should be addressing the pain points, share solution or some insights about the industry, and demonstrate your knowledge. What you will see is that over time, people will see you constantly adding value, and that will get you the trust and the familiarity, and you want that. As a matter of fact, SalesBread research showed that the average B2B buyer consumes about 10 pieces of content before making a purchase decision. And if that content is yours, imagine the advantage you will have when that buyer finally evaluates solutions. Your company will be the one that already helped them repeatedly. And this works because by the time you reach out directly to someone who's seen your content, you are no longer a stranger to them. You have essentially been warming them up passively, and they might recall maybe a tip you shared or video they watch where that you help them solve some problem, and that creates familiarity and credibility. And this trust really translates into high reply rates and receptiveness in general. And this is the real difference between a cold call from a stranger versus a conversation with someone whose posts you've been reading for weeks. And bonus tip for you, if some of your posts is doing well organically, leverage LinkedIn algorithm by boosting that particular post, especially if you have a good call to action that might lead to sales. Now, content alone isn't enough. You also need to actively engage with your target audience. Think of LinkedIn as one huge networking event happening every day. Founder-led growth means you are out there shaking hands, of course, virtually, and joining conversation in your industry. And this does two big things. First, it increases your visibility among the right people. And second, it builds genuine relationship that often turn into leads or some referrals. First, you have to start by defining your ideal customers very clearly, like industry they're in, role, company size, etc. Then identify where those people hang out on LinkedIn. A smart tactic is to find the top 10 to 20 influencers or voices that your ICP is following or engaging with them. For example, are there certain thought leaders or maybe podcast hosts or some community builders in your niche that attract potential customers? If yes, follow those people, bookmark them on LinkedIn to get notified when they post, and regularly engage on their posts. But engage with them in authentically and in an honest way. Please do not use AI, because relationships are built when you are being genuine with someone. And using AI or just commenting to everyone great post without adding a real value, like a real insight or some maybe follow-up question, this will not work. But once you do add like a real insight or a follow-up question, two important things will happen. First, the influencer will really appreciate it, possibly leading to a relationship with them. Second, their audience sees your comment, and many will curiously check out who you are, and this drives relevant people to your profile and to your content. And it's like, imagine it like being on stage that someone else built. Third, you will begin to be recognized in the community around either that influencer or that topic. And if you consistently do this 2 to 3 times a week, on a popular post in your domain, this will make your name familiar to your ideal customers. And there is subtle psychological effect called reciprocity bias. When you thoughtfully engage with others' content, over time, they will feel slightly urged to return the favor. Eventually, those influencers or members of their audience may start engaging with your posts, which will amplify your reach, and that's where real growth kicks in. Also, what you can do when people leave you comment, engage directly with them. For example, if they leave you a comment, reach out to them and say how you appreciate their point. And this warm engagement can often naturally lead into conversation, which is far smoother than a cold pitch out of nowhere. And especially, LinkedIn algorithm rewards those who are active in the community. It sees that you are engaging meaningfully and intends to give your content a boost in others' feeds. Especially, they are considering you being a contributor, not just a broadcaster, as they call it, which will help you make you more visible. And this matters because This online networking builds your brand in your niche. You're not just another connection request in someone's inbox. You are instead the helpful person who gave a great tip on so-and-so, or who congratulated them on their company's milestone, etc. It basically humanizes you. And from a sales perspective, when you do reach out or accept connections, these prospects will recall seeing you around. And this will dramatically increase acceptance rate and reply rates. And in fact, social selling data shows that sales reps who are active on social media, they get around 45% more sales opportunities who aren't active on social media, and 51% of them are more likely to hit their targets. And it's no surprise, as you're essentially warming up leads before the sale conversation even starts. After all, it's all about trust and familiarity. So now, when your content and engagement start drawing some attention, the first thing people do is check your profile. And your LinkedIn profile is your digital first impression, and it should clearly communicate who you are, what you do, and how you can help your target audience. The number one mistake most people are doing on LinkedIn is they're making LinkedIn all about themselves, which is, maybe it sounds like you should be doing that, but no, you should make LinkedIn about your target audience. It should be about them, because unfortunately, people don't care about you as much as they care about themselves, and they quickly want to see how beneficial you are to their life. So a well-optimized profile can significantly increase the chances that a curious visitor becomes a lead or a connection. Think of it as a personal landing page for a founder-led growth. So there is the best practice of what you should be doing on LinkedIn and how to optimize your profile. First rule when it comes to the profile photo is to show your authentic self, because first impression you can only make once. When it comes to banner or cover image, don't leave the default blue banner. The large real estate, roughly quarter of the page, is like a free billboard for your brand. Please use it wisely. You can display a tagline or some value proposition, or some maybe call to action, or visually illustrate how you help clients. For example, you can have banner that might say what problem you solve, or showcase some key achievement you have in your career. Make it about how you can help your ideal customers, not just some pretty skyline, because this immediately signals relevance to a visitor. Third is the headline. Show what you can do for them. And this is especially important when you're commenting on other people's posts. This also is important as it shows in search results, and whenever you comment, instead of just your title, use that space to concisely tell people what you can do for them. So instead of just writing CEO at XXYZ Corporation, say something like CEO helping SaaS companies boost lead generation through founder-led growth. A value-focused headline acts as your elevator pitch, and you can intrigue your ideal customers to learn more. And when you engage in comments, people will see that tagline and immediately know your value proposition. Next, take advantage of the feature section to showcase some tangible proof. You can add a link or media here. For example, a link to a case study, or maybe some successful project you did, some media article, even a calendar link or webinar sign up. You can put everything there. That can serve as a lead magnet. Especially this is good, for example, you are just starting out. Either your product is new or you're just starting out your service. You can show expertise there if you don't have some social proof. If you have social proof, put the social proof there. So the reason why we do that is that because optimizing your profile isn't just for the show. It has really effects on the outreach success. A polished profile that speaks to your ideal clients can really increase your connection acceptance rate and reply rate, which lead to faster network growth and lead generation. Think of all the effort you spend on content and messaging. If prospects click on your profile and it resonates, they're far more likely to accept your invite or respond to your message. It really assures them that, hey, this person looks legitimate and relevant to me. And in founder-led growth, you are the brand. When prospects land on your profile, they should immediately understand the value you offer. A great profile builds confidence in your prospects' minds. It answers, why should I pay attention to this person? And if your profile highlights how you solve the exact problems they have, it can passively generate leads. I had prospects, for example, message me without me doing any type of outreach, simply because my profile spoke to the need they have. And remember, on LinkedIn, 4 out of 5 B2B decision makers will look at your social profiles, yours or your company's, when evaluating solutions that they need for their business. Many leads will come through these channels. Also, don't just do that set and forget for your profile. Keep it updated as you refine your positioning. Also, consider adding maybe some keywords in your headline and about section that your ideal clients might search for. Why I'm saying you this? Because LinkedIn search algorithm will reward that. For example, if you help with B2B lead generation, make sure that phrase is present. Another trend in 2025 is the use of LinkedIn's creator mode and newsletters. If you produce content regularly, enabling creator mode can really highlight your content and allow people to follow you easily, which is basically lower friction than connect. They can just hit follow and that's it. No need to wait for someone to basically approve the connection. And this is great for building an audience beyond just connections. And lastly, always include a way for people to contact you in your profile, whether that's an email address or put a Calendly link in your about section. Don't rely only on LinkedIn messages. Give interested leads an immediate next step. So here are some of the examples of profiles we optimize. Check it out before and after. One of our clients, when we first got him, look, the banner photo, it had beautiful mountains, they look good, but it tells nothing to a visitor. And check it out how we transformed it into value proposition first, so that anyone who lands on his profile, they know immediately what he's all about. Now with a strong profile, content engine, and engagement routine in place, you will start drawing inbound interest. But we also want to proactively go outbound and initiate conversations with potential clients, but in a way that's efficient yet personal. That's where LinkedIn automation outreach comes in. The idea is to use tools to handle these repetitive parts, like sending connection requests or follow-up messages in volume, so it feels like you are having super efficient sales development representative who is working 24/7 for you while you focus on creating content and engaging people to respond. That's why for me, I don't understand why more people are not using this. It's really great because you can achieve big volume. However, a huge caution here. Automation must be done thoughtfully. The goal is to do personalization at scale, not spam at scale. Modern prospects can really sniff out a copy-paste message from a mile away. Here is how to effectively implement LinkedIn outreach automation as a founder. First, define who is your ideal customer in great detail. Success starts with sending requests and messages to the right people. And believe it or not, there are, I would say, majority of companies, they never define who is their target audience in great detail. That's our experience, at least. So with each of our clients, what we are doing, that's the first thing that we are doing. We are creating a sheet where on that sheet, we are describing in great detail who are the ideal customers for this company. We divide them into tiers and describe anything that we find out about them. And based on that document, which we call Holy Grail document, we create sales outreach sequences, sales strategy, marketing strategy, content strategy. Everything is based on that document. Second, once we do that, we find them using LinkedIn Sales Navigator or similar database. You can use Apollo, you can use Zoom Info, etc. The goal is to build a list of prospects that fits that ideal customer profile. And the better the targeting, the more relevant your message will be. And it's really worth spending time defining these main filters like industry, title, region, company size, etc. So you're reaching out to people who truly are likely to benefit from your solution. I saw countless examples where they had everything well, the message was well, everything, like the offer was good, but they were just targeting the wrong people, and that's why strategy was not working. They didn't have results. Third is use the right tool responsibly. There are many LinkedIn automation tools, Lemlist, Expandy, LinkedIn's own Sales Navigator inbox and many others, our suggestion is to use some tool that allows dynamic personalization, like inserting first names, company names, or some other custom snippets. And please respect LinkedIn's limits because you don't want to be banned. You should automate actions like sending connection requests and sending follow-up messages on schedule, but always monitor the responses and be ready to jump in personally. Because whichever tool you choose, be sure to stay under LinkedIn's daily send limits and rotate messages content to avoid detection of being spammy. That's something that we are doing in the background. So luckily, to knock on the wood, we never had problems with LinkedIn for the past, 4 years that we are doing automations. We never had any problems. And I believe it's mainly because we are respecting all the rules and we are using these really safe tools. Fourth, when it comes to a great messaging sequence, the best scenario is that prospect can't even tell you're automating. So it really feels like a human outreach because for them, it's very targeting and very relevant. While we are creating these sales outreach sequences and messaging, we have a rule that we are using when creating them. And that is, if you were to approach a person at the bar, would you say this? And if the answer is yes, then it's probably a good message. And if the answer is no, rewrite it. I believe this is the reason why we have such a high reply rate. And in some instances, we had a reply rate of 50+%, which is kind of crazy. But I believe this is mainly because we learned how to write these casual sounding messages and pack the irresistible offering inside. Because no matter how good your outreach and content is, at some point you need to ask for the business or at least move the conversation toward a solution you offer. And this is where having an irresistible offer makes a world of difference. And an irresistible offer is something you propose that feels highly valuable and relevant to the prospect and ideally has a low barrier to entry, which basically means it doesn't feel like high pressure to them. And there is a difference between a cold pitch that gets ignored and the one where prospects say, you know what, this actually makes sense. And to improve the offer in your founder-led growth, we'll speak about that in a second in a greater detail. Before that, number 6 is that you should start working on value-based follow-ups. As stats showed, you likely need multiple touches, so you should plan follow-up cadence, perhaps 5 to 6 touches over a few weeks, and each follow-up should provide additional value or some insights. For example, I recently published a short case study that might interest you. Or you can send them, hey, I saw this article on this and that topic, and I thought of our last conversation, and I thought this might interest you. If you do this by not giving up after just one message, and if you avoid being spammy and send out, hey, I'm just bumping up in your inbox to stay on top, you will really stand out. You have to remember that 80% of sales happened between 6 to 12 follow-up. And yet, so many stop early. Be what we call politely persistent and consistently focus on how you can help them, not what you want from them. And that's what we do when we are creating value-based follow-ups. Everything is centered around them. Everything is centered around them. So you have to position yourself as an educator in their head. So when the time is right, they will remember you. Think about it. They're not ready to buy from you now, but maybe 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, when you're constantly educating them in the meantime, and then you are sending them the message, and suddenly they are in need for your solution, they will want to speak with you. Now, let's speak about the irresistible offer because that plays also a huge role. As I mentioned, an irresistible offer is something you propose that feels highly valuable and relevant to the prospect and ideally has a low barrier to entry. To improve the offer in your founder-led growth strategy, you should consider the following. First, focus on outcomes, not just the features. And many companies, especially IT companies, are just focused on features and not on the outcome. You should frame your offer around the value or results it delivers. For example, instead of, hey, I offer marketing consulting services, you might say, I can help you generate 2 times more qualified leads in the 19 days using a proven LinkedIn strategy. You should be very specific about the gain or pain you can solve for them. by highlighting some tangible outcomes. When I say tangible outcomes, means it's really something real. This will make your offer more compelling. And remember, people respond to value and relevance and not on generic pitches. Also take advantage of the framing effect, because how you present something matters a lot. Psychologically, the way an offer is framed can make it more attractive. Frame your service or product in terms of what the prospect gains and why it's urgent. For instance, a limited time free audit sounds more enticing than some generic consultation you might offer them. Or you can think about framing your solution as avoiding a specific costly mistakes. For example, save your team 10 plus hours a week, or avoid losing 50K on bad leads. With that type of framing, this can really hit a nerve with some people. Always position your offer to highlight value over features. Focus on positive gains while you are addressing the pain. And also, don't forget to always think about reducing the risk. A common framing tactic is a guarantee or maybe some trial period that makes it low risk to people to say yes. What we like to use initially is a soft call to action. For cold outreach specifically, your offer in the first interaction might simply be next step to something that's easy to agree to. Instead of, would you like to buy our solution, and ask them for money in the first message, make the offer something like, hey, we are hosting a free webinar on this topic, would you like to join? Or maybe, I'd be happy to send over a free customized report analysis for your business. Or simply, maybe if you want to ask them for a call, ask them for a 50-minute call to brainstorm ideas. Again, focus on providing value to them so that in their mind they're thinking, I would be crazy not accept this. Use it as like a lead magnet. Why this matters? Well, even with a great rapport and trust, a prospect might not convert unless the value proposition is crystal clear. That's where irresistible offer essentially connects the dots between the prospect's need and your solution in a way that makes taking an action a no-brainer. It can dramatically improve conversion rates from conversation to actual sales opportunity. Think of it as the bridge from marketing into sales. It's how you turn interested followers or connections into actual customers. If your offer stands out and immediately communicates value, you'll find your pipeline will fill out much faster, and prospects will feel like, I'd be silly not to at least take this free call / webinar / trial because it sounds valuable. And because you, the founder, is delivering this offer, often personally, really carries more weight than they're getting access to some junior salesperson, rather than connecting with you, who is the expert on this topic. So use and take that advantage. Also, continuously refine your offer through feedback. As you speak with prospects, note what interests them most. You find, for example, that offering a free 30-minute strategy session has better results than a generic demo, or that a limited time pilot program gets more signups than a standard contract. Iterate your offer consistently. That's why in business, pivoting is like something that we all have to learn how to do it, because times change and there are so many competitors out there. Lastly, try to incorporate social proof into your offer if you can. That can be join 50 plus companies who doubled their leads, or maybe rated 5 stars by our clients. This adds additional credibility and urgency, where people feel much safer taking an offer that others have benefited from. So no one likes to be the first to try out something. So this is it. I hope you learned something new. I encourage you to start doing this. Really, we had amazing results by using this strategy, and you can do as well. In case you would like our help to implement this strategy and do it together with you, feel free to send me an email and we'll book a call, and we'll go over to discuss how to specifically implement this strategy into your business. See you.